Hello, Denim Heads. This is David with the Sons of Selvage podcast, here with the 5x1 review, where I tell you 5 things you want to know about one rugged good. And today I'm looking at the classic work belt from Nicks Handmade Belts. So if you've seen our most recent podcast episode, we actually interviewed the team behind Nicks Belts. And if you haven't watched it, please do go and watch it. It's a super interesting episode. Nicks Handmade Belts is a sort of side business or offshoot of Nicks Boots based out of Spokane, Washington. So if you know about the story of the famous P&W brand Nicks, this is their belt business. It's a separate team that's working within the Nicks factory. Before I jump into the review, I do want to state that this is a product I did not purchase. Nicks gave me this belt to try out and write a video review about, which I'm doing. They are not paying me any money to do this, but I did receive this for free. This belt costs $85. You could basically say that they've paid me $85 in that sense. I do have freedom to put whatever I want to say in this review, so I'm trying to give you as most honest of an opinion as I can, but you know, there may be a tiny bit of bias because I did not purchase this myself. If you want to check out their products, their website is nicksbelts.com. This particular belt here, which I've worn for 30 days, is called their Classic Work Belt. Here you can see the Nicks branding. And this is in what's called their 1964 black leather. I chose this particular belt because it was the least expensive of their offering at $85. And also it's a solid black leather because I really like things that are struck through all the way with black dye. I don't want something that's black on the surface and like tan or brown on the inside, which is what folks often call T-core. Also, because I thought it would be interesting to give you as honest of a review as possible, I'm actually going to be comparing the Nicks belt against my Tanner Goods, you can maybe still see it here, standard belt. I did in fact just look that up, and it looks like I actually bought this belt in 2010. So I've actually owned this belt for 15 years, and it's my daily driver. I wear it pretty much all the time. You can see this is actually originally a solid black set of hardware, but you know, the black is worn off the snaps. It's worn off the roller buckle quite a bit. And there's a lot of like little kind of cracking and wear and patina in this belt. So this is about as genuine of a review as I can give you because I've got 15 years of wear on the Tanner belt. I've got 30 days of wear on the Nicks belt. And so it's kind of comparing something new against my all-time favorite. All right, so let's talk about point number 1, the price. On that note, I just saw in my email that 15 years ago, this Tanner belt cost me $84. And currently, this Nicks belt, this is the Nicks Classic Work, costs $85. So 15 years later, this belt basically costs the same as this belt did in the year 2010. The Tanner belt now, if I was to buy it today in the exact same configuration, which you can, it's called their standard belt in black, is $135. So out of the gate, there's basically a $50 savings in this belt, the Nicks belt, compared to the Tanner belt. Both of these are made in the USA. I believe the Tanner Goods is still made in Oregon. Nicks is made in Washington. There is one detail in this classic work belt from Nicks that I'll come back to in a minute. It's around the finishing, which would make me not necessarily want to buy the $85 version and maybe want to buy the nicer $120 version, but I'll come back to that. And now let's talk about point number 2, the makesmanship. So when you receive the Nicks belt, you get a pouch with their screen printing. I kind of like their logo. It's fun. They have little belts on there. And also you actually get a handwritten tag as to who made your belt and when. So this belt was made by a person named Nicholas at the Nicks factory, and it was made by him on June 11th of 2026. I'm recording this on July 15th, so you can basically tell the time frame from when the belt was made and shipped to me until a recording. So I've tried my best to wear it every single day since I received it. I believe I received it on June 15th, so it's been almost exactly 30 days. But yeah, nice touch, handwritten note, who made it, when they made it. Maybe worth putting that it's made in Washington, but I guess you know it's made in the USA, so it probably doesn't really matter. Let's talk about point number 3, solid brass hardware. So for $85, you get solid brass hardware. This is a brass buckle, super thick and chunky, and you get what are called Chicago screws, which are these kinds of flat screws that you can unscrew and rethread to hold the hardware in place. If I was to buy this guy from Tanner today, the options are the same. So basically it's like a black coated nickel roller buckle and snaps and a little black belt guide, metal black belt guide, whereas this guy has a leather belt guide. And if I also want to get this in the brass buckle, I don't know if that's brass coated or solid brass, but again, $135 for this option. So I think you're getting a pretty sweet deal and getting brass hardware for $85 with the Nicks option. Let's talk about point number 4, the leather. The Nicks belts come in different leather choices based upon which belt you choose. So you can't basically get every belt in every leather, which I guess kind of makes sense because, you know, thicker hides are going to go for the heavy duty belt and thinner hides for the classic belt. So, you know, you kind of are getting some options based upon what they have decided to include in the belt. So because I went for the classic work belt, this is what's called their 1964 black. They have brown, 1964 brown, 1964 tan, which are in theory just variations of this leather makeup by a particular tannery. That we go into the details of the tanneries in the podcast, so make sure you check that out. The main reason why I chose this was because I want a leather that is black all the way through. I do not want a leather that is going to patina to show brown or tan under the black. So often you get what's called a T-core leather where the top edge is finished black, but the actual inside of the leather is natural colored. And all of the other Nicks belts besides the classic work do not come in a solid black leather or a struck through black leather. Actually, they come in a T-core. So as you wear it, the black's going to fade away and you're going to see brown. And for me, that's like a no-go for a belt. So I basically limited my options to just the classic work belt. If I was Nicks, I'd probably offer more choices per belt because T-core, I think, is like Marmite. Either you love it or you don't, right? Or in my case, ranch dressing. Most people love it and I hate it, but that's a side note. So yeah, that said, you know, there's some pretty exciting things about the leather here. So this leather is an $85 configuration. For that price point, I'm getting what's, I measured with my little fancy ruler here to be 4 to 5 millimeters thickness of the leather, which Nicks states is between 12 and 14 ounces. Again, I also measured my Tanner belt and it's somewhere in the like 3 to 4 millimeter thickness, equivalent to 10 to 11 ounce weight. So basically you're getting anywhere between 2 and 3 ounces more weight and thickness in the Nicks classic work belt compared to the Tanner standard belt for a lesser price. So I think if you are just looking at this from the standpoint of like toughness per price point, this is definitely a better deal. That said, the Tanner belt, the standard belt, does come with edge burnishing by default. And what that means, you can see how it's kind of like the ends are made smooth and polished. The Nicks belt does have beveled edges, so you can tell that they've kind of like rounded them with the machine, but they're not burnished. So they're not smooth and shiny, rather they're kind of like rough out or like a textured matte finish. I mean, it's kind of cool because it kind of matches the back of the belt. You know, you get that same kind of finish, but it would have been nice to have that as a part of this work belt. That said though, if you do upgrade to the heavy duty work belt, they are both beveled and burnished. So you're kind of matching the Tanner Goods belt. So you might say, okay, well, just instead of spending 85 bucks, spend 120 bucks and buy the heavy duty Nicks belt to kind of be at parity with the Tanner belt. But at the moment, I can't get the heavy duty belt in a solid black. It's a black surface with a natural interior. So for me, it would be a deal breaker. So this is still cool, but it's slightly different than the configuration I was choosing if I was buying this as a customer. But again, I was gifted this belt to review, so take it as you will. You can see a little bit of patina because I use this third hole here out of 7, which means it's a pretty good fit. It's like almost near in the middle. And you can see I'm starting to get a little bit of like a polished finish on this satin. So I think I'm gonna expect to see a really nice patina over time as the Nicks belt gets broken in and worn in. My Tanner belt, by comparison, it's got like 15 years of patina on it. So a lot of the shininess is gone. I need to learn how to bring that back. Let's talk about point number 5, the holes for different fits. The Nicks belt has 7 holes in it, whereas the Tanner belt has 5 holes in it. And why that's relevant is for the same size belt, you're getting a broader range of fit options. So if you're someone whose weight fluctuates a lot, the Nicks belt gives you more flexibility for the same size. Probably doesn't matter to most people because you're kind of want to use the centermost hole or maybe a little bit bigger or smaller, but still it's worth knowing that they went through that extra mile to like add more options so you get more money out of your purchase. Let's talk about point number 6, the sizing. I measured around my physical waist with a tape measure I can't seem to find, but I have a 35-inch physical waist at the point of my body where my jeans sit. So my waist is not like up here in my tummy like it would have been in the 1950s, but rather like the area of my hips where my belt sits. So I also looked at the Tanner Goods belt, which again, I've owned it for many, many years. And the most common hole I use on that one is this second hole here. And so from that hole to the end of the belt, that measures 36 inches, which kind of makes sense, right? Because I've got my body, a little bit of underwear, a little bit of denim, and the belt on the outside, and a 35-inch human needs a 36-inch belt. So, okay, great. I'm looking for a belt that's of size 36 inches to get a perfect fit. Now, both companies have a very strange sizing system because ironically, this Nicks belt is a 38. This Tanner belt is a 34. Neither of these is a 36-inch belt. Yet, if I actually hold them up to each other, I match the buckle position, and I run them down, you're gonna see that they're within, let me get them a little bit more taut. Let's do this a bit more procedurally. They're within roughly 1 inch of each other. So a 38-inch belt is 1 inch longer than a size 34 belt, which is confusing for a customer. So I went to the Tanner Goods site first and I looked at their size chart, and the way they measure and label their belts is they start here at what's called the belt fold, measure to the very first hole, and that's the number that's printed on the belt. And this is a 34. Now, most websites, if you go to like WikiHow or whatever, and they ask you how to size your belt, they say use the hole that is most common to you. That would be this one, which started out as a 35 long time ago. Long story short, it stretched about 1 inch. So this is now 36 inches to this hole. So I called that 34, but that's what it would have been for a brand new one. For a 15-year-old belt, it's actually more like a 35, and that hole measures 36. And this would be 37. So when this belt would have come out, I would have probably called it a 36, having measured from the center hole to the end of the belt fold, but Tanner says, nope, use the first one and call it a 34. I think it just adds a bit of confusion to the customer. Similarly, Nicks has their own sizing system, which again is different. So what they say is they measure from the end of the buckle, not the end of the belt folds, to the center hole in the belt. So that's 38 inches, which when I measure my physical waist and I'm thinking, okay, I've got a 35-inch waist, so I probably need a 36-inch belt based upon everything I read on the internet. When I go to their website and I'm about to buy a 36, it's going to be too small, and I actually have to go up to a 38 based upon their sizing. So I think the fact that they include the buckle in the sizing makes it more complicated for the consumer than it needs to be. If I remove those 2 inches and measure from the belt fold to the center hole, I would get a 36, and I would know that this belt would be right for me, as opposed to being two inches too big, which is what I would read if I didn't watch their marketing content. Now, I spoke to Luke on the podcast. He did say that's kind of a historical thing that they may or may not change, but it is a question of whether they want to like go back and change their sizing and have to notify all their customers versus just keep it the same where it adds in the buckle to the length. But again, I think it's a bit of a confusion that customers probably don't want to deal with. So again, if I measure this guy, doing it a bit sloppily, sorry about that, to the center hole, boom, it's pretty much spot on, 36 to the third hole. So I would have picked this belt right away if it was labeled a 36 and had gotten the right thing, but because it's a 38 for a 36, for what I would think is a 36 belt, just adds a little bit of confusion. So again, Tanner, belt fold to first hole, Nicks end of buckle to center hole. Neither of those is the industry standard that I see on the internet of like, start at the belt fold, go to the center hole, and that's the size belt you want to buy. But in closing, I still love my Tanner Goods belt. It's great. It's done me well over 15 years of daily wear. Again, it's my most commonly used belt. I would continue to recommend this to people who are looking for a Made in America belt and maybe are willing to spend a little bit more. That said, though, and this is again the Tanner Goods standard belt. That said, their Nicks belts classic work belt is $50 cheaper with just one or two little compromises. And that's that, you don't get the burnish edging and sizing is a little bit complicated, but you get a thicker belt with awesome hardware for a significantly lower price. To me, this feels like the obvious choice to recommend if someone's gonna buy a kind of a heavy duty belt, because it's just, you're getting more for your money. Granted, you can go up and Nicks and spend $120 for their heavy duty work belt, which is even thicker, or for some of their heritage belts in the $140 range, like I see Horween Heritage Belt, American Bison Belt. But if you're just looking for value for money, this guy can't be beat, the Nicks Classic Work Belt. But if you want a few more bells and whistles, then it's a harder decision between whether you go with Tanner versus Nicks. They both have some pretty sweet options and both are made in the USA. So I hope this video was helpful. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Everything we do here on Sons of Selvage is paid for out of pocket by me. So if you ever can donate to buy us a coffee, that would be awesome. And of course, please join our Discord server. We'd love to have you hang out and chat with us. And then lastly, if you haven't tried Size Up yet, give it a shot. It's a tool I built to kind of help you when you're shopping for rugged goods. Doesn't specifically have a belts shopping feature, but hey, the agent might be able to help you make some belt purchasing decisions. And thank you again.